This video is not suitable for audiences under 13 years of age. Hello everyone, Mixfant Gaming here. Welcome to my channel, your place for news and gameplay. Some good, some bad, and let's be honest, likely some rage and tilting. If you like what you see, please consider subscribing, hitting that bell for notifications, and if you don't mind, giving me a thumbs up on the video as it does help me out. So today I'm giving you my wish list for 2020 for War Robots. And I'm going to apologize up front. This is going to be probably a little bit more of a lengthy video. I'm going to try to keep it as condensed as I possibly can. But I'm going to go through my top 10 wish list items, fixes I would like Pixonic to address. So let's get started right into it. And we'll start with number 1. Now, before I go any further, usually these type of videos, I would start at number 10 and go through to number 1. But the top few here all have interlacing themes, so I'm just going to start from the beginning and I'll go through to the less important or more of the easy fixes are later on. So here we go. Number 1. And that is communication and transparency from Pixonic to the community. Pixonic changes things very often without notifying its players, and it's caused quite a bit of frustration amongst the players and the community. Pixonic also changes and nerf or buffs items, bots, weapons, etc. that players aren't even complaining about. And one of those examples is this past year when they nerfed the Gusts and the Orkans. Nobody was complaining about them, so why did Pixonic touch them? Pixonic ignores issues with the game and doesn't address these issues during their live dev streams. They say they want to have a little bit more communication back and forth with the community, but they tend to gloss over the big ticket items and only focus on the small ones. For instance, going back in time, we look at the Ares train of how long it took them to address that. Right now we're dealing with issues of Phantom and Leeches running amok. And it's not necessarily just the bots themselves, but it's also phase shift that's causing a big problem. And it's been taking this long, and Pixonic still hasn't done much to it, although they have been testing a nerf to the phase shift on the recent test server. Getting into number 2. And that's the honor system is completely flawed. Now you're probably wondering what I mean by a flawed honor system. Well, first off, when we go to battles, you get certain honor points for doing certain tasks. We all know that. The thing is, those in higher leagues, such as Champion, get bonus honor points for all of these items or these tasks that you can have during a battle. Whereas some made down in Diamond Gold League, they get fractions of the honor points that those in the higher leagues get. Now, people can make the argument that somebody running in Champion League have harder matches, etc. Well, I don't buy that argument. Yes, they have higher gear, but a lot of the times the people in the higher leagues are going against other higher league players, and they all have equal level gears. Well, somebody down in, say, Diamond League can have just as hell of a hard fight amongst their relative gears and opponents and teammates as somebody in the upper echelon. So somebody in a lower tier should get rewarded just as much as somebody in the upper tiers, at least when it comes to honor points. And one of the things I have, and I'm going to throw up a screenshot right here, and this is one of my recent battles I've had here. It wasn't the greatest, mind you, but one of the items that you can get honor points for is healing. And healing is absolutely horrible. If you look at this screenshot here, I got second place in healing for repairing teammates. I got 180 points. And the actual healing of the bots themselves, you can see down at the bottom here, is absolutely minuscule compared to all the other ways you can earn honor points. So why would somebody want to be a support healer in a team if they can't earn the honor points to get higher up in the rankings at the end of a match? The other thing I have a little bit of a beef about is that when you're playing in Beacon Rush or Domination, there is no bonus for top kills. You get you can get top in healing, you can get top in beacon captures, you can get top in damage, but the top in kills category is only valid for Team Deathmatch and FFA. You're killing bots in Domination and Beacon Rush, so why can you not get rewarded for actually killing these bots? The other thing I want to talk about is crates. So if I go into the crates right here, sorry, wrong one. So if I go into here, the crate progression, you'll see there is a huge jump between Master Crate and Champion League Crate. And this has caused a lot of Champion League players to actually drop down into Masters because, as you can see, it's 265,000 points to get to Masters Crate. It's 650,000 to get to Champion League Crate. That's over 2 times the effort to go up one single tier. And I don't blame people for wanting to stay down in Masters. I'm in Masters, but that's more because that's where I feel my bots and weapon levels put me, and I should be playing. The other thing is operations. Operations is based off honor points, which earns you operational experience in a conversion. And again, because of this mismatch between the bonuses higher league players get, such as Champion League, versus, say, somebody down in Expert or Diamond League, they can earn these OXP much, much faster than somebody in a lower league. And thereby, I would like to know how many people out there, say, Masters League and below, are actually able to obtain the level 100 in operations. Operations should be fair for everybody. Everybody should have equal opportunity to get to that point. They do the equal work, so why should they not have the equal opportunity to get there? So somebody in Champion League can get there a heck of a lot faster than somebody down in Expert League. And I actually think the way the bonuses work out, somebody in Expert League actually earns half or maybe even less than half the bonus honor points that somebody in Champion League gets, which to me is completely flawed. That this whole system of bonuses based off of leagues is flawed and is contributing more and more to discrepancies in the game itself. That also leads me into events. The last few events we've had has been based off of honor points again. And so again, somebody in Champion League versus somebody in Expert League will earn those honor points a heck of a lot faster than somebody down below in Expert League. So again, it's not fair. Somebody in Expert League probably has to do 2 to 3 times the number of games to earn the same amount of honor points that somebody in the upper echelons do. And then that also brings me to economy. Now, why am I talking about economy when it comes to honor points? Because in the upcoming update 5.8, Pixonic says they're going to change the economy based off of honor points. So if the honor point system is already flawed and you don't address the fixes to the honor points that's needed, then the economy is still going to be flawed. And we've been dealing with a broken economy for years now, a couple of years anyways. And we're going to go from one broken economy to another broken economy because the honor point system is flawed and hasn't been addressed. So this is why number 2 is my list here is to fix the honor points. Because if you fix that, then some of the other things that are coming down the road will be better off. So speaking of economy, we're going into number 3. And of course, that is the economy. The battle rewards changes need to be fixed. Now, as I said, in update 5.8, they're saying they're going to redo the economy for battle rewards. So hopefully this gets addressed and gets addressed in a meaningful manner to the community. We don't want to swap poor payouts for silver for poor payouts for silver just using a different system. Fix your honor system first and then bring out the economy fixes, or in theory, do them both at the same time so that the players actually feel like they're making progression in this game. The upgrade costs need to be addressed. They changed the Mark II system overall so that each level is a little bit easier to obtain, but overall you still have to spend the same amount of silver once you get to the Mark II system. But the thing is, they didn't touch the Mark I system. So when you're getting into the upper levels of Mark I, levels 10, 11, 12, some items you're paying a lot of silver just due to these one single levels. Whereas when you get into Mark II, I think it's starting at either level 5 or level 6, you're paying 25 million silver per level across the board. Well, they maybe should look at reducing the cost of Mark I so that people can progress to Mark II. That's one thing that's holding me back somewhat, is I have several bots and weapons that are sitting at in between levels 8 and 10, because the cost isn't, I just can't, well, that's not true. I do have some money here. You see, I think it's 138 million. But I would rather spend that money on other things than bringing up the weapons to level 11, level 12, because I'm building some other setups that I want to play with. So I do think the Mark I system needs to be tweaked somewhat. The upgrade times, I still think they need to be lowering them a little bit. Somebody with premium does get that bonus, but I think everybody, especially with the rate stuff is being released into the game, they need to shorten these times, because you just can't keep up regardless. Also, when it comes to economy, there needs to be a way to get platinum and power cells. If I go hard with a hanger, for instance, like I have here, and I'm in Masters 1, and I'm very often going against high-end Champion League players, and I have an extremely hard time competing. And the only way I can compete and at least be somewhat competitive is burn through a crap load of power cells. I could easily burn through 400 power cells in a single game. And this is one of the reasons why I actually don't use my good hanger very, very often. It's because I'll play about 5 games. I'll use so many power cells that then I have to put in my other gear and other bots that, you know what, I won't use the power cells. If I'm running this hanger, I'm just so tempted to use the power cells. And I do have a fair number of power cells saved up. But if I use 400 power cells in a game, it's not going to take me long to burn through several thousand power cells, and then at some point be without power cells completely. There is no way other than events or buying them outright, or your league progression in the crates to obtain power cells. So I think there should be some way to obtain power cells through battle rewards themselves, and possibly even some of these clan tasks. Now, I'm not in a clan right now because the clan tasks just have not been beneficial to me. And finally, my last idea for economy is always give us an option to use an ad at the end of the match to increase rewards. We get an ad, we should be able to decide how we want to use it. We already can use it on bronze chests, speeding up supply drops, speeding up upgrades, use them in your tasks if you want. So why can't we have the option to use it to increase our rewards at the end of a match, instead of just hoping when we have a really good match that we get that random chance at the end of it to click on that ad? Well, no, just give us the option all the time and let us just make the decision if we want to use that ad for the rewards or not. All right, so then now we come into number 4. And that's matchmaking. I hate the matchmaking. This is probably my biggest annoyance in the game, and I would love to have put this as number 1 on the list, but the other items all kind of feed through and bleed through down the list here. So the other ones I feel are really important, but matchmaking is just absolutely so horrible. It really does make my blood boil, being somebody in Masters 1 like I am, and I would swear 70 to 80% of my matches are going against top rank, maxed out champion players, very often in S rank clans. Not to mention, I sometimes have really bad luck of even 3 or 4 matches in a row, I'm in a team of a bunch of randoms going against a full squad of these guys. It's just absolutely ridiculous. So people are saying, oh, the merging is going to fix the problem. No, the merging is not going to fix the problem. Will it help? Yeah, it'll help somewhat. But if they don't change the algorithm, you're still going to end up having the same issues. You should be league versus league at the very, very least. All Master League players play against all Master League players. All expert against all expert. All champion against all champion. But that also leads into another thing. I think Champion League should actually be split up into another league on its own. You have the really top and high-end echelon players. Then you have the players that kind of straddle the Masters and Champion, well, the Masters Champion line, the kind of the division there between the two. Now, are there enough players? Well, I think once the iOS players come over, it's something that could be done. Ideally, I would love to see matchmaking based off of weapon and bot levels, and that might be the case, but probably in this day and age, it wouldn't be enough now that you also have pilot levels in there, and you have module levels in there. And so it just might make the algorithm a lot more complicated, but at the very, very least, it should be league versus league. No putting a Master League in with an expert team. No putting Champion in with Masters, etc., etc. The other thing I think about matchmaking is, and I know this can probably be contentious because there is an argument for both sides, but I don't feel like the same clan members should be on opposite teams. And I don't mean that just categorically straight no. What I mean is you can have squads. If you're trying to time job and do a squad versus squad inside your clan, okay, that's fine. As long as your squads are somewhat equal in the number of players. So if you have 4 versus 3, or 3 versus 2, or 5 versus 4, that type of thing. But there are clans out there that try to take advantage of the system and have a full squad on one side, and then they'll have one teammate on the other. Yes, that takes quite a bit of luck in time dropping, but in those situations, what they do is the full squad will wipe out the entire team, on the entire enemy team, but leave only their teammates that are on the opposite team alive. And then those teammates will be given kills and damage from the other one, thereby farming silver. So I just don't like the idea of things in the game that lead to exploitation. Now, I also believe you shouldn't allow the same clan in FFA. That's just my personal opinion. I know there are people in the clan who just love to try to time drop and go against each other. And that's great too. And so that's why I said there is an argument on both sides. But you do often see people in the same clan in FFA, they do tag team up. Now, one thing I would like to see is an easier way to have squad versus squad battles. So if I go into a custom squad here, and I say create squad, what you see here right now is I can add players in, and then we can hit the squad battle button. But what that does is once you have a squad, it puts you into a queue of, I believe it's 30 seconds. And if you don't find another squad to go against, you're then matched against randoms. What I'd like to see here is another button underneath here that says like squad only or something along those lines, where it'll still put you in the queue, but it will not take you out of that queue until you actually physically match up against another squad. I know right now the way some players are, or some squads are running, is they'll wait until they get to about the 27-second mark or thereabouts, and if they don't find a squad, they'll cancel it and they'll restart. That thereby ensures they keep going back into the squad queue until they find a squad. And that's very admirable. But there are some squads out there that will run a full squad and are actually looking and hoping for a whole bunch of randoms. So my idea here is to have another button or an option somewhere that lets you pick, I only want other squads to squad with. And that being said, if they don't do that, what I would like to see is the squad queue to be upped from 30 seconds to a minute. And then that would be more beneficial to those who are actually in a squad, and they can hopefully find another squad match without being put against a bunch of randoms. All right, so that's all I have to say right now for matchmaking. I could probably keep going on, but I'll leave it at that for now. So now let's go into number 5. And to me, this is balancing. Pixonic tends to wait until issues with bots and weapons become so inherently bad before they even address it. Look at the problems we had with the Ares and the Ares train. And look at now the issues plaguing the game with players running only phantoms and leeches. And it's extremely evident in the upper ranks of clans, especially when it's clan full squad battles. but it's now working its way down now that Phantom's leeches have been in a couple of events now, and people are starting to obtain these bots. Balancing needs to occur on a more regular basis. However, the pattern thus far with Pixonic, in my opinion, is they wait until the problematic bot, and it's usually a bot, gets to the masses in workshop and through events, and then they address it after the fact. Well, it'd be a lot more beneficial to the entire player base if they saw problems and addressed them in a more timely manner. Case in point, we look at when the leech has been tested, it was flagged by many of the testers and YouTubers as being dangerous in its current form. And then when it was getting close to going to live in production, it was actually tested with a 350 meter range, and it was unable to use the repulsability through obstacles. And many felt this was a little bit more of a balanced approach. And then what happened when it hit the live server? It went back to 500 meters range and being able to be used through obstacles. Pixonic didn't listen to the players that were testing, and now it has become a problem. And this has been actually escalated with the use of the phase shift module, along with the foolhardy quartermaster skill that allows you to use your active ability again once you hit the 50% mark on health. So I think Pixonic really needs to do a much, much better job at addressing the balancing and listening to the players that are actually testing these things on the test server. All right, so now the next 5 should go relatively quickly. So I know I've used a lot of time up front, but the next part should go relatively quick. So getting into number 6. And this is a pretty self-explanatory one. Remove phase shift. We don't need it. It's made good tactical players get, honestly, to be a bit lazy, and it's made the mediocre players become complacent and reliant on it. The players haven't had to spend any in-game currency on buying this module, and therefore they're not going to be losing anything if they actually get rid of it. So remove the phase shift altogether out of the game, and in my opinion, it will help balance the game a bit and put a little bit of skill back into the game as well. Going on to number 7. And that's to revisit the pilot skills. So if I go into one of my bots here and I look at the pilots, I'm going to use this as an example as I talk. Ever since the introduction of pilots, Pixonic has not reviewed the skill list, not once. Many of the legendary pilots, such as this one here, well, actually, no, this one is a worthwhile pilot, but many of the legendary pilots aren't worth the 2,500 gold to buy. In 90% of these cases, it's actually more beneficial to run a regular pilot. You're not spending the 2,500 gold up front, and you still get the 7 slots available to use as you choose. The legendary pilots, they have one skill that's locked in there, and you can't change it. Well, to me, since there are some legendary pilots coming out and that are having now multiple pilots for the same bot, if you look, for instance, at the Fenrir now has 2 separate legendary pilots. At least allow them to learn and retrain their unique skill, so that they could actually learn the skill of another legendary pilot, thereby making that hard-coded skill slot a little bit more beneficial as a legendary pilot. So, for instance, if I'm running, actually, I do have the Fenrir. Let's go back here to my Fenrir. So we go into here. I have Linda Gano, and many feel that her skill really isn't worth the cost of the pilot, and I do tend to agree, because you're not really using the energy shield that much. But what if I could retrain that skill to be the one of the, I don't know, a lot of people are just referring to as a Santa pilot. That skill is, to me, much more useful than this one. So if I could retrain this unique skill to be that of the Santa pilot, then that'd be a lot more beneficial for myself. But still, in many cases, even having something like that, the regular pilot would make still more sense, because you have much more flexibility. Well, how about you give a legendary pilots one more slot? Now, I'm not saying it should go up to level 80 and you pay an obscene amount of gold to get there. No, what I'm saying here is the unique skill you get as a legendary pilot is maxed out from the start at level 1. You don't have to play the pilot in order to get up to level 10 in order to unlock the next slot and keep adding to it. The legendary pilot would still go up to level 70, but it would have 7 empty slots it can fill just like a regular pilot. And the 8th slot is the bonus slot, the unique skill that comes with that pilot, and it's unlocked and maxed out at level 1. That to me would make the legendary pilots much more likely to be useful for the vast majority. And then if you combine that with the ability to have the unique skill to be retrained to be similar for another legendary pilot that has a skill set in the same bot, then that even adds more power to legendary pilots being worth the cost, because right now many of them aren't. Finally, in the skill set, as I mentioned before on a couple items up, is re-looking at the skills. Well, I think some skills should be removed from here, and one instance of that is a Foolhardy Quartermaster skill that allows the person to use their active module second time at 50%, and it's contributed to a lot of frustration with people using the Leech, Phantom, and even the Aljun running phase shift. So to me, I think that skill could go away. Into number 8. And now, we're talking the targeting system. Targeting system sucks, okay? It's horrible. And honestly, I'm not sure how to fix it, because you're dealing with a mobile game. And you can't just sit there and say, I want to press on the target that I want to actually focus in on. And so you have to have some way to cycle through the targets. But a possibility is when you hit the manual targeting, you lock in on the closest target first. And then as you press it subsequent times, it goes to targets further and further back. That may in of itself cause problems if, for instance, somebody is up front close to you, but say you're a sniper and you don't have the range or whatever to hit them, like if, God forbid, somebody's running Zeniths, so they want to target somebody further, then you have to cycle through. So that could be a little bit problematic, but for the most cases, I think selecting the target first up front is the better option. But at the very least, don't allow a player to select an enemy that's beyond your current firing and lock-on range. There's nothing more annoying than running something like a Vortex. And I think you have you have to have the target locked at 350 meters range to fire. And then you switch targets. For some reason, for instance, they go into phase shift, or it's an Ares or something, they put on their absorption shield. So you want to hit somebody else that's close by. And then you hit the manual retargeting, and then all of a sudden it switches to somebody at 600 meters range, and you lose your lock-on. And you have to wait another 4 or 5 seconds to gain the lock-on back once you find a target close by up front that you can actually hit. So why enable targeting of players beyond the range of your weapon lock-on ability? It just doesn't make too much sense. So if at least instituted that, it would go a long way to helping with the targeting system. Number 9. And this is operation progression. And I talked on this a little bit up front when I talked about the honor system. The operation system should be fair for everybody. And because it's based on honor points, it's completely flawed. Lower league players progress much slower than somebody in Champion League. And you know what? That's just not right. Everybody should have equal opportunity to gain those levels. I cringe and I feel really sorry for lower league players such as those down in expert below that are really trying to grind through this thing, and most of them will never have any chance in hell of getting to level 100. Well, Pixonic, if you want to make money off the operations, if you make it so that everybody can progress equally, then more people might be willing to actually pay for the operations. Just a thought. I know myself, I won't hit level 100. I'm in Masters 1. I did a calculation. I'll probably end somewhere between 80 and level 90. But I'd like to see operations change. Either fix the honor system and make it fair, or make it task-based like something from Call of Duty. Now, Call of Duty's system is not perfect either, but they have certain things where you get a certain number of kills and you get, say, 50 points towards it, or you get a kill streak, or you get these number of points, or even you log on daily, you get a certain number of points. Well, why don't you institute something a little bit more along those lines, where it's somewhat task-based, and you do those tasks, you earn a set amount of points. It's not based on honor points where somebody in Champion League gets a heck of a lot of bigger bonus than somebody down in Expert. Operations, you're paying for them. You're paying for that second tier. So make it so people who actually want to pay for it can pay for it and gain the levels that they want to. All right, so now going into number 10. And these are just going to be some miscellaneous UI gameplay changes that I have. So first off, provide the players with an option to disable screen shake. After all, we're fighting in a third-person perspective, so having the screen shake doesn't make any sense. If we were fighting from a cockpit viewpoint, then it would. There was a test server at one time where we did test changes to the shaking effect. Well, give us the option to turn this off if we desire. Another thing is to provide us with a setting to disable some of the graphics effects. This will especially help for someone who has slightly older devices, whether it's removing shadows or removing explosions. Stuff that actually taxes our devices allows the option to remove those. Me personally, I would like to see FFA go back to an anonymous name tag system. So enemy number 1, enemy number 2, enemy number 3. I was never a fan of having the actual names of the players out there themselves. I know there are other players out there who love it now, they can see, but it also does open up to teammates kind of ganging up together, doing kind of mini squads, so to speak, and abusing the system a little bit. Making this change, going to enemy number 1, number 2, number 3, etc., won't fix that, of course, but it will help at least a little bit. The next item I have here is give us an unequip all button for crying out loud. How many times do you want to remove all the weapons on a bot and you can't do it? Give us an unequip all that will remove all the weapons and all the modules. And when I say remove all the modules, I'm including give us the ability to unequip an active module for crying out loud. You can unequip everything else on a bot. Well, why can't we unequip an active module? Some people want to actually try to conserve power cells. They're maybe getting a little bit low and they don't want to accidentally hit that damn button. Well then, remove it so that we can actually... Anyways, it is a pain point for me. Just let us unequip the active module. Allow us to invite players to a squad by their ID or search by their name. Not all of us want to give it a personal Facebook account so that we can squad or team up with our friends. So give us the ability to do this in-game and allow us to have an in-game friend list that stays there. One of the big things I would like to see, and I know it's some coding, but they do it in Call of Duty and they do it in PUBG, give us a custom UI design interface that we can change. If we want to move that module button off to the left-hand side, let us do it. If we want to move the firing button someplace else, let us do it. It can be done. It's done in other games. Why can't War Robots give us a custom UI? And the other final item I have on the list here is allow all clan task rewards to be available to everybody. And what I mean by this, if I go in the clan tasks, you'll see I'm not in a clan right now because it's just not worthwhile to me for it. And it's mainly because of this item right here. Right now, in order to obtain all these tasks, all these rewards, you have to be in a clan and have that clan level progress. Well, the problem is for me, what I'm interested in is the gold and the keys. Well, you can't get gold and keys unless you're in a really high clan. Because what happens is, the higher your clan rank, you unlock a slot to have an additional clan task, but you also unlock the reward. Well, why can't somebody down in Gold League have gold or keys as a reward? No, give everybody the ability to have all the rewards. It's just as you get higher up in clans, you unlock more slots. That way, if somebody wants to try to refresh the clan task to have a couple gold or some silver, not silver, sorry, a couple gold or keys, they can do so. And the other problem I have here with this is the damn ad system now. They force you to use your ads on the clan task before you can even refresh. It says on their website that you can refresh up to 2 clan tasks daily for free. Well, it's not for free if I have to spend 5 ads in order to be able to actually refresh refresh a task out. No, give me the option to refresh the task first, and then I can use my ads on the task if I so choose afterwards. It's completely stupid, in my opinion, that you have to use ads in order to refresh your clan tasks. No, so make the rewards available for everybody and only unlock the additional slots for higher clans and allow us to refresh the ads 2 a day, like you say on the website, without having to use our ads. Anyways, sorry for the length of this video. I wanted to get this out. This is my wish list for 2020. I know it's not an exhaustive list, but I tried to get into as much detail as I could without overdoing it. Anyways, if you like this content, if you have any ideas of your own, please leave them below. And until next time, cause some mayhem on the field for me.